Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode one of the Apolitical Podcast. I'm your leftist host, Caleb, and I am a undergrad psychology major in my senior year, and I've really been invested in politics since the end of the Biden administration, specifically around Israel-Palestine. And I am looking forward to kind of getting my voice out on all of the opinions that I have and being able to maybe be informative to some extent. And I am joined today by my co-host.
I am your centrist host, James. No formal political background, but I do think it is important to stay informed, and I'm excited to engage in current events on a more regular basis.
Yeah, and we have an absolutely amazing episode lined up for y'all, and we cannot wait to hop right into it. We're recording this on Saturday, February 7th, 2026, and we have updates from the Epstein files, an unexpected flip in a Texas Senate seat race, comments on the ever-developing ICE situation, and stick around the end for something more lighthearted and truly apolitical. First up on the docket, Epstein files. Always new stuff to cover with this one. We have three main things we wanted to look at today. The Clintons both asked to publicly testify on their involvement in the Epstein files. Epstein tries close allies of Donald Trump to Epstein directly, and more information on Epstein ties to Israel. Starting with the Clintons, over the course of the week, after the bombshell drop of thousands and thousands of pages of the Epstein files being released, the Clintons have been mentioned multiple times and are going to be standing trial with the House Oversight Committee. They have been going back and forth. Originally, the House Oversight Committee was wanting to do a behind the doors look at them, but both Bill and Hillary wanted to testify publicly. There's been a bit of back and forth, and now one of the Republicans from the House Oversight Committee specifically is requesting cameras and making it seem like that's what they always wanted. If you want to go and pull this article up, James, we want to look at
the article right here.
So yeah, if you want to go and find the quote, specifically from the Clintons asking for it to be a public trial. I think they specifically were saying they don't want it to try. Let's see if we can find it. Republican pugnant is Comer.
Yes, I have this quote right here. If you want this fight at Rep. James Comer, let's have it in public, Hillary Clinton said. You love to talk about transparency. There's nothing more transparent than a public hearing. Cameras on, we will be there. So, quite the fighting words, sounds like to me. It's a choice, definitely, to want to have it done public, but I guess if they're going to be deposed anyway, having it done in public so that there's less of a chance of having your words twisted, things taken out of context, accusations being made. That's definitely the way to go.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like to me that they're going to try and do some amount of crash and burn if they are truly getting deposed and there's not much they can do about it. Bill and Hillary are both extremely tactful politicians. Whether you like them or not, as politicians or people, they are extremely good at their job. I would argue better than most politicians currently operating in U.S. politics. They're very good at being politicians, for good or bad. And I could totally see them if they're like, we're going down, we're taking literally every single person down us. While I found that interesting, the position that I was also extremely interested in, specifically Comer making it seem initially that they were very against the idea of doing a public hearing because like this is a deposition, this isn't a public trial. But there is a specific quote where here the Clintons are going to Clinton and try to spin the facts. The committee wrote on Tuesday at the 11th hour, the lawyer's talking. And he also said he can have cameras. The Clintons will do it publicly. See if we can find the quote. Yeah. For 6 months, we engaged with the Republicans in the Oversight Committee in good faith. We told them that we know under oath, she said. They ignored all of it. They moved the goalposts and turned accountability into an exercise in distraction. And so it seems like the defense here from Comer for not wanting it to be in person is that they're going to make it a game or they're going to try and spin it and just do nonsensical stuff. But with the severity of the topic, I think the Clintons understand that there's no real way to spin this and game this. This is a pretty bipartisan issue where both the Republicans and the Democrats are wanting to see justice for this, at least for the normal voters. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I think that everyone, all eyes are going to be on this. It seems pretty bipartisan, getting the truth out there for the most part. And going public with it is, I mean, who knows what they're going to say, but if they want to do it publicly, they have something to say. They're not just going to ask for a public trial and then plead the fifth on 50 questions and then go home. Right.
Absolutely not. Yeah, no, the Clintons have never done that. I mean, they had stuff back in 2016 where Hillary was on trial and she stood up there for 6 hours straight and answered almost every single question. There was barely any conjecture that she was doing or spinning. Where you have people like Trump's current cabinet, where they'll go in and like when RFK was getting introduced in Congress, and Congress had to approve of him, like very dodgy with all the questions. If you go back and watch that 2016 Hillary House Committee oversight, she is very poignant. She makes it very clear that she is absolutely going out of her way to answer the questions. And so whether this ends up doing much, I do expect, sadly, no matter what happens with the Epstein files, my personal position on this is not enough is actually going to happen to the people who committed the acts, indiscriminate of who they are, if they're Republican or Democrat. I imagine there will be social repercussions for a lot of these people, but for some reason, it appears that, well, I mean, the reason is that Epstein had ties to way too many people in office and power and wealth. Most of these people are going to weasel out of it. So,
yes, for sure. There's not going to catch every one of them, but hopefully something can happen, and hopefully a public deposition will be positive. But
yeah,
only
yeah,
time
I'm
will
not
tell.
against the Clintons being trashed if it means other people can get trashed with them. So, and speaking of people in power, we also this week with the large amount of Epstein files dumped, we have Epstein files continuing to show that Trump's inner circle and his current administration has close ties to Epstein, despite how much Trump himself tries to distance himself from it. We have multiple people talking to Epstein, Elon Musk. We have Steve Bannon, and I also believe Howard Lutnick, all having pretty close ties to Epstein up until 2016, whenever he was killed. And I mean, out of all of them, first we can start with Elon. Oh my gosh, can you? Is the quote in this? Does this article have the quote of Elon not understanding which kind of party he was asking to go to? That was the funniest thing from this week.
I have it right here, and I can go ahead and read it. This is an email to Jeffrey Epstein vacation at gmail.com from Elon Musk. Do you have any parties planned? I've been working to the edge of insanity this year, and so once my kid head home after Christmas, I really want to hit the party scene in St. Bart's or elsewhere and let loose. The invitation is much appreciated, but a peaceful island experience is the opposite of what I'm looking for.
Yeah, a peaceful island experience is insane, and I think it very much fits with Elon Musk's character of being the guy, presenting himself as the guy that knows everything. If you look like early 2000s, he was Tony Stark, was like his MO. That's what he was trying to be. That was his persona, and it in the recent years with Doge and also with this, it's very much clearly showing that he's just a guy who knew how to market himself pretty well, but actually didn't know much, which I find hilarious. That he's asking, like the wealthiest guy in the world right now, back was asking Epstein. It's like, oh no, I don't want to go because it's going to be tame. Not realizing what was going on there. I think that's hilarious. It's horrible, still, but it is one of the few light bits that came out this week. It just makes Elon Musk look like more of an idiot, which I am always down for.
Classic Elon Musk.
The
Can you
classic
expect
Elon
anything
Musk.
else from him at this point, to be completely honest?
No, maybe some more salutes, but other than that, not too much.
Sometimes it's for the better. Sometimes it's for the worse.
It's true. It's true. Like I said, besides Elon Musk, we also had two other people. We had Bannon and Lutnick. Steve Bannon, who was one of Trump's former advisors, is seen to have messages with Epstein, like around the time that he was arrested back in 2016. And you can see that, yeah, you have the pulled up right there. You can see the little text chains they have, which means that they were actively having conversations with Epstein, which I mean isn't a good look for them. And then also with Lutnick, I think Lutnick's should be on here somewhere.
I believe this is him right here.
Yeah, right here. Lutnick said, yeah, you have to pull it up. You want to read that?
Yes, we'll read these. Let's make sure. That is not him.
Yes. They were right here. I think it's underneath where it says said in the podcast interview.
Oh, here we go. Lutnick said in a podcast interview last year he cut ties with Epstein mid-2000s, saying he found him disgusting after visiting his New York City home and observing a massage table in the middle of the main room. Says he was never there with him socially, for business, or philanthropy. If he was there, then Lutnick wasn't going because he is gross.
Yeah, I think the exact experience. I was doing research and I was looking at other shows and stuff throughout the week. I believe the exact example he's quoting here is he had was neighbors with Epstein at one point, and he had gone over to Epstein's house. Just their neighbors got invited, and he saw that with his wife, and then they played weird and like, oh, we have to go and leave early. But obviously, this statement isn't true that he just cut ties with them, because there's clear evidence from the Epstein files that he was still actively conversating with him, and so he may have been doing it and ignoring him, pretending to no longer engage in front of his wife. That's believable, but it seems like this is just a lie from this interview back here, which doesn't help Trump's case. And then also, yeah, like once again with all three of these people, all of this, in addition to the fact that Trump is named in the Epstein files more than Harry Potter is named in the Harry Potter novels, or Jesus is named in the New Testament, is not a good look for how Trump has been trying to portray his relationship with Epstein. In addition to the fact that Trump has changed his reasoning for relationships to Epstein. There was the time period where he was talking about, like, he was an FBI informant, and then, well, no, I just never talked to him. Like, he found him gross, and I kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. And then all we're finding over and over again is that they had close ties, and everyone close to Trump also had close ties to him. It is, I mean, to me, it seems like, obviously, to some extent, there is an argument I would disagree with that could be made that it is still somewhat circumstantial, and there is not 100% evidence that Trump himself engaged in any activities on Epstein's island. But knowing who Trump is and looking back to previous quotes, like in his 2016 election when he was running through the election cycle, and he said, basically, I'm rich and famous and I can grab the girls by their, and no one's going to care. Or if you look at his recent comments over, I think this is the 2024 election cycle, where he's like, I can go shoot a guy in Times Square and no one's going to care. He doesn't put off the vibe that he wouldn't do this kind of thing. I mean, he's also an indicted criminal and everything. So, like the idea of this truly is not something I would put beneath him. So.
No, and I find it interesting that and with every politician in just about every single controversy that's ever happened around politicians, especially presidents, when you get to the higher level, it's always just flat out deny, and then walk back and deny a little bit less, but still hard deny, and then walk back and deny even a little bit less, and give up a little bit more, and that's just how it goes every single time, and we're just seeing it again. It's a hard, nope, not evolved whatsoever, didn't even know him, I don't know, who's that? And then something comes out. Of course, they knew each other. He was in business. They were in business. They eventually met up and did business, because that's what business people do. And so they have to walk it back and say, okay, well, I did know him, but not after that. Okay, I did know him after that, but, when did they stop?
Yeah, and it's just, it just keeps going on. And I mean, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised if he engaged with anything. There's obviously still somewhat of a defense that he didn't, because he's not named. And yes, it's also important to note that while a lot of this files and stuff are direct emails, direct messages, and pictures, some of it is eyewitness testimony. And while I would say most of the people in here are victims and would not just be saying something for no reason, there is the potential plausible deniability for Trump to say, yeah, but like they're lying. I mean, his entire election plan since the beginning, since 2016, has been, they're lying, they're out to get me, they're lying, they're out to get me on every topic. And so, I mean, and his base eats it up. They eat it up. Oh my gosh, they're over there all over it, and it's it's upsetting. So
Yeah, hopefully, it seems like the more things that happen and just craziness that keeps going on, it seems like that base is getting smaller and smaller.
mhm.
Um, also means that that base is getting more and more crazy because it's turning into its own little ecosystem, and that's never a
Oh
good
yeah.
thing. Doesn't foster good
No,
things, but it is getting smaller.
yeah, and actually, even to your point, this is actually a great little thing. I didn't have this on the docket, but in terms of getting smaller, just yesterday or the day before, there was the post. If you want to pull this, the picture of Donald Trump on the White House account of Barack and Michelle Obama, posted over the faces of gorillas. You want to get the picture pulled up? I have been seeing something on Twitter that I do not normally see. Oh, I need to get off Twitter, but there's a lot of people that would normally be defending Trump that are just outright just like, this is awful, this is bad, I cannot believe this is a thing that's happening. Like, what in the world is going on? Do you have it pulled up? Yeah,
Yes, I got it right
yeah.
here.
It's crazy. That is insane, right? That's completely ridiculous from Donald Trump's account. Like, that's an insane thing to have, and it's just utterly racist and like blatant. And I am
Yeah.
constantly shocked at how blatant he's allowed to be, and everyone still continues to defend him on everything. As yeah. Um,
I
where's the
will
next
say,
thing we have?
watching the
Oh,
video of the entire thing, it definitely looks like that video is an auto scroll. Like the other, like it looks like it was a screen record of a different video, and then it auto scrolled to the next video because that one was done, and that one happened to pop up, and then it quickly got swiped to whatever video was next. But if you're gonna edit out the parts where you start and stop the screen recording, you can edit out those parts too. It's not
yeah.
like the
Well, and
entire
which is
video
funny. That's
doesn't have the
totally
starting the
reasonable.
screen
Yeah.
recording, right? It's not just the entire thing was posted. Some of it was cut, which means why not? Like if it came up as an accident, just cut it out before you post it. It's not that hard. Not that hard.
Yeah, and apologize for it, like, which is something
Yeah.
Trump hasn't done. He's just said, "Oh, I didn't know. Oh, that wasn't me." Zero apology about it at all. Whenever, like, even if other people had apologized, even if it was an accident, like if Obama had posted something like that, where it was like a killing white people thing, like a white people suck up to me type of thing. It doesn't matter if that was an accident. He would have been impeached. Like, there would have been massive outcry. Um, and it's insane. It's it's gross, is what it is. Um, yeah. And then I think we had one more thing related to Epstein. Unless you had anything else you wanted to add to that.
No, I think it's just it's indicative of the fact that they don't really care about their image because they know their base, and their base doesn't care. Either their base is going to find things like that funny and just play along with it, or their base isn't paying attention to that. They can do no wrong. So even if they do something they don't like, it's like, well, and I just didn't see it. That just didn't happen. That's fake. Whatever. So it's crazy that we've gotten to that point, but like not too much you can do about it now, I suppose.
No, I mean, the only thing you can do is inform people and say, hey, I mean, this is not something that was unpredicted. Trump has run on degeneracy since his first term, starting with calling Obama not a citizen, he making his birth certificate fake, um, and immediately calling, crooked Hillary the entire time. This isn't new for him. So it's what they want, which is upsetting to me. So his base, at least. But then, yeah, and the last thing here, newly released Epstein files reveal further ties to Israel. So there's kind of been a growing theory throughout the entire Epstein files and Epstein. Epstein himself was heavily linked with Israel and Israeli intelligence and everything. I personally take the stance. I think that Trump. I think Epstein wasn't really necessarily an asset for the Mossad or Israel themselves. I feel like Epstein was just more of a very influential power player in and of himself, and he just so happened to like Israel, less of him being an Israeli asset, which is so far my position, and I haven't seen anything to discredit that. But if you look in here, this article specifically talks about the Ed Barak, the former Israeli prime minister, is mentioned multiple times. You have it right there.
Mm-hmm.
In the financiers at Epstein's files, even after he pled guilty of sex crimes back in 2008. And then Epstein Barack tells Epstein that the Trump interview would attract a huge percentage of Israelis and most U.S. citizens in Israel. And then this also doesn't help that Peter Thiel, who's a big Israel supporter, seems to have been pretty cushy with Epstein. And there are indications here with how cushy he was with Epstein and Palantir that Epstein could have been a big driving force behind Palantir itself, which is a pretty big organization that definitely supports Israel. So there's this quote right here. It's of the Orion Grimm X tweet. You can see it. I think it's the quote right above it. I scroll back up to right here, above up a little bit more. I think right there, that one. That bottom one right there. However, he has a company. That one.
Yeah, it definitely reads like, and from what we know about Epstein, it seems like he was more of a middleman, right? That's how he made his wealth. He was just the guy in the middle, the one that handled the money, connected people, all the way until the end. And so this does seem more of like, a way for, what is this? What do they have? Prime Minister to get in contact with important people in the States to help their own career, such as Trump would have done numbers, especially in 2016. That just makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter Thiel. Don't get me started on that guy.
We can have a whole topic on Peter Thiel maybe next time. But yeah, it's crazy. And then if you want to go the very last quote before the article ends, can you read that? That's an insane section.
This one right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see here. Phil Weiss wrote about a lengthy New York Times investigation on Epstein's rise that ignored Israel's role. Love of Israel was a lead criterion for inclusion in Epstein's circle, wrote Weiss. I don't think Epstein's marks were even fooled by him. They knew he was a common man. He was a con man who played fast and loose. But they also knew that the Israel lobby had a need for charmers who break the rules, so they looked the other way.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like this is like a Epstein is wanting the Jews to. Yes, that's just if you're blaming the Jews for everything, that's gross and bad. Obviously, it's just not good. That's a dog whistle. But it does seem like I would also stand that there's a bunch of corruption, just like here in the U.S. within the Israeli government, that they didn't care about the issues that Epstein had because he was pouring a bunch of money into Israel for Israel lobbying in the United States, which that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, and this just helps to cement that. I'm not a big fan of like Mr. Illuminati conspiracy theory stuff, but there is a lot of power that changes between global elites, and it is just crazy that Epstein just so happens to be the person that seems to be like the guy. Like if you were, I want to get you in this head, like you're picturing like you're making a fictional story, and you need like a progenitor guy who's going to be like the guy that's connecting all the different people together. That would be Epstein's the fictional guy you would make up for that, and like, he just is, and he's also just the most comically evil version of that guy. Like you couldn't make up a better fictional character to be the middleman than Epstein. I find it insane that this is a real person, that is a real thing, because it is so incredibly comically evil. It is just obscene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy how deep it goes, just like at the surface level, even like not getting into conspiracy stuff, not taking everything at 100% face value, just seeing how like far the reach is, which is, when you think about it, it is actually reasonable. It's not that crazy to think that he had connections in other countries, because like you can only make so much money at the small scale. Eventually you have to go overseas if you want to make more of it. So if you're chasing that dragon, then I'm not at all surprised that Israel is on here.
I mean, it's crazy how much good deception they've been able to run for forever to keep all this stuff under wraps. But yeah, I guess speaking of lying, we can go ahead and move on to our next topic. In Texas over the week, there was a district seat race for the Texas Senate, where in the race, the Democrat beat the Republican. The Democrat beat the Republican with a plus 14 score. And what makes that crazy is that this was a plus 17 district for Trump in the 2024 election. How this relates to lying is that during the election cycle, Trump's Twitter. Now you can make the argument that someone was posting for Trump, but there were posts from Trump praising the Republican candidate, like batting for him, calling him a great pro-Trump American. And then after the race lost, his words, if you can find his exact quote in there, I think it's there's a.
Yeah, got it right here. He talking about the Republican candidate. Trump posted saying that they would be a great candidate and has my complete and total endorsement. It's even got all the random capitals like they should.
Yeah. It's very Trump-filled. Yeah.
He
and
also
then
later
that was
posted
him doing it.
urging Texans to go out and vote and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then his complete reversal, like, oh, I didn't know. I think his quote was like, that's a local Texas race. I'm not involved in it or something. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not involved in it. It says it's a local thing. It's like, okay, yeah, thanks, big dog. Yeah, you definitely weren't doing anything in there. And I mean, I think there's multiple different things to say about this. First, I want to focus on the national aspect of this. I think this has good leanings as the local leftist. I think that this is a good sign of the potential turn that's going to happen here in the midterms, as long as the midterms get to happen. But despite Texas gerrymandering, the districts they gerrymandered are voting Democrat so far. I mean, this is a one thing, and it doesn't. This is anecdotal as of now, and I fully recognize that. But with how aggressive the Republicans have been with its initiating gerrymandering stuff, I would not be surprised if there is a pretty hard swap back to Democrats in the House. Now, for federal Senate, that's never. Even if the Democrats get a majority there, like it's not going to be enough to actually do anything. It'd be such a slim majority, even if they won it. Like that's another question. But I think this does have good leanings for probably a complete flip of majority House leader party and the House of Representatives. In addition to that, this once again shows Trump's once again lying constantly. And there is something I want to focus on with that specifically. I don't know how much you've looked into this, James, but there is a growing theory that Trump himself is similar to how Joe Biden was clearly having mental cognitive decline. You can look at Trump in his original election back in 2016 and Trump now, and he makes less sense, and he seems to not know a lot of stuff. Now, he could be lying, but it's highly possible that the man is legitimately forgetting. Do you have any thoughts or anything? Have you looked at that at all?
I think that how old is like 84 or something? Yeah. Is it up there? I don't want to get that wrong.
Yeah,
but like you get into your 80s, like that's too old. Probably not many people make it that age and are still cognitively 100%. Most people couldn't handle running the country, period, on their best day. Yes. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that on my best day. No way. I'm not surviving a day in there. So being that age there, and also you've already done it for 4 years and you were, 4 years younger? You were 4 years younger and you already did it for 4 years and now you're trying to come back and do it. Like, he was 8 years older than when he ran the first time. And he was already...
Yeah, because he's even older than that, because he was younger, ran for 4 years, lost 4 years to Joe Biden.
Yep.
So he's like almost a decade older now at this point than he was when he started running the first time.
Yeah, that's insane. That's just even, I think the first election was not nearly as bad. I think that the whole first 4 years I know is not, it really does feel like a completely different person. Which makes sense when you're talking about someone who used to be in their 70s and is now in their 80s. So the math kind of maths right there.
I would agree with this. Like, I have strong disagreements with a lot that happened in Trump 1.0, but Trump 1.0 versus Trump 1.0 felt like a just slightly more angry version of a normal Republican presidency, whereas Trump 2.0 feels like a very, very different type of Republican presidency. Um, and I've always been in the position that Trump has no actual positions on anything, and he's just a populist to some extent. Um, but it is concerning how just blatant he is with lying or taking briberies like the Saudi Arabian jet or like anything. And I wasn't able to vote. I was still a child at the time at the beginning of Biden's presidency. He was old. He had mental issues. He should not have been president. That doesn't mean I didn't like a lot of what he did. I liked the CHIPS Act. I liked the infrastructure bill. I thought the bill he was helping to push through the House and Senate at the time for the border was actually pretty good, beef asylum and everything. Um, but he was too old. Like he shouldn't have been there. Too many cognitive issues. Um, and even now, once again, here I think Trump's too old. As you were saying, like I think despite how much I hate it, I think it would have been a better run if we had two younger candidates. And I'm like,
that's why
with who's the governor of Florida? I forgot his name. Is
DeSantis?
DeSantis? Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSanctimonious. Sorry. Yeah. I don't know. It's all insane.
Yeah, that's why I think a candidate like Gavin Newsom is a lot more appealing. Even take away everything he's about, he is a good, like, just well-spoken and younger. Yeah. Like that. Like that's almost. It's gonna get to that point by the end of Trump's term. It's probably going to get to the point where it's like, oh, you're young and you can complete a sentence. It's gonna be the same as the Kennedy and Nixon televised debate. Everyone voted for Kennedy because Nixon was sweating and thought he looked ugly on camera.
Like, that's so funny.
Like that's the point we're gonna get to. Like I feel like it's just gonna become a like who can put a sentence together and make it sound good.
I mean, whenever you go through 8 years of old person forgetful dementia, and then the next 4 years is surrounded by angry fascist dementia, like I think I would be ready for just about anything else. So
yeah.
But
which is going to make it difficult for who the Republicans are going to pick as their candidate because you're either picking
better not be Vance.
Nobody.
Oh
yeah. Well, maybe they pick Vance. Don't get me started on that. Who are? Yeah,
Well, who is they going to run? Do you have anybody else they think you think they would run?
It kind of has to be. It kind of has to be him, which is, in my opinion, going to be worse than Trump because Trump just wants to be popular. Vance just wants to be infamous.
Yes,
it feels like
100%.
So.
And then there was one other thing with the Texas Senate race I wanted to focus specifically. So we and James were both from Texas. I'm out of the state for school right now, but I think this is the Senate seat that flipped is a traditionally Republican district, and the middle of Fort Worth, which is like the big city that's Republican, big city. And I think this is good signs for Texas as a whole. Texas has been leaning for years more and more of a purple state, and even if you look at barely lost in Texas. Like it was not that much that she lost by in Texas. I think it was. Can you get the exact number pulled up? It was somewhere around 10%. Like it wasn't more than 15. I can't imagine. I don't think it was more than 15%. I think it was pretty close.
Texas has almost been a swing state.
Multiple times. Like it is almost becoming a swing state.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah, and I think with how Latinas and minorities have been treated over this term, I would not be surprised if there is like a blue sweep in Texas. I'm not going to predict that 100% because I don't. It's Texas. There's still a lot of Texas in Texas, but I would not be surprised, especially when you have great candidates in Texas for Texas places like our beloved James Tellerico.
My goat right there.
Goat, my king. Oh,
absolute
I love
goat.
him. Goodness gracious. I think you have a good, if more people like James Tellerico start appearing in Texas, or like the guy who just won this seat, I could legitimately see a future where Texas becomes a swing state. Like it just starts becoming a normal swing state in elections.
Yeah, I think the Republican Party has gotten so fractured that you've got Dan Patrick calling the Democratic candidate that got elected a wake-up call for Republicans across Texas, even though the guy is a labor union leader and a veteran.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Like,
he's a veteran.
Like that's like, what do you like? What do you mean that's a wake-up call? This guy woke up. You don't. The call's already over.
It's yeah,
Like
we're done. It's already happened.
Fort Worth's already awake. Like you already missed the. But you're not just gonna get back on it. You're not. You missed your flight. You're done. You know you can wait for another one. There's no point. It's like the wake up call should have been when what was it? Was it San Antonio or Austin legalized weed on their own?
San Antonio. That was San Antonio.
San Antonio legalized it on their own, and then Texas had that's your wake up call. Yeah. And I don't even know how far we are removed from that, and the governor's just back and forth. Oh yeah, no, we'll make it happen. Nope, not gonna make it happen. We'll make it happen. Not gonna make it happen.
Yeah,
I don't even know where we are with it right now, but it's like just flip flopping back and forth. It's like that's gonna be the killer too. Like you can skate by. A lot of these guys have been in office for a really long time, and you can skate by kind of just like making things work smoothly, right? No one wants to disrupt the status quo. But as soon as you stop making things happen, then people get mad. It's like, why are you here? If you're not doing anything, we'll just get someone else. And I think that's kind of the point we're reaching where nothing's happening and people are starting to get agitated by it because they've spent enough time.
You look at Greg Abbott's been there for forever. Ted Cruz, that may hate my son, he's been there forever. Like, what's been happening? Has everything been getting better in Texas? No, I would say everything's been pretty stagnant in Texas, chilly. And for me personally, I think in addition to all of that, I think what's going to be a good is whenever they gerrymandered during last year, Texas was going based off of the 2024 voting results, right? Those results were heavily skewed towards Trump because for some reason he had a massive Latin American turnout in voters. There was a large percent, and the way that ICE has been treating Latin Americans in this country is horrific and is absolutely sending stuff through the entire Latin American community that I think like Gavin Newsom may not have had to gerrymander California as a result in reaction to Texas. I think Texas might have actually just absolutely kneecapped themselves if this trend continues because of how Latin Americans, especially with everything happening like ICE, ICE is not viewed favorably at all. And speaking of ICE, that's going to be our next segment that we're going to shift into. Do you have anything else you wanted to add there before we go ahead and move on?
No, I think that I think there's just a higher voter turnout during the first election because of how charismatic Trump was. Just being antagonistic, it was a very felt like a polar opposite of what a politician should be. So I feel like a lot of people that wouldn't normally get involved couldn't help but notice him. Right, he's kind of hard to miss. And I think, not even I think, I know that that's just a desirable quality in a politician. You know, like people like Kennedy and Reagan and now Trump is people that are charismatic and move just a little bit differently, can get people to vote that normally wouldn't, or can bring people together for no other reason than they are different than what they're used to, and that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of people who say stuff like, I don't like politics, and I don't like Trump, but money. Same thing with my arch nemesis on the internet, who doesn't know he's my arch nemesis, but he is, Nick Fuentes. The amount of people I know that are like, well, I hate him, but he's funny. Like, it doesn't mean everyone who thinks he's funny would vote or be in his movement. But there's a lot of people who are not involved with politics but see it, and because that's what they're surrounding themselves with constantly, they are subconsciously becoming more used to that kind of thing, and they may then be more likely to find that to be normal, which is I think what happened with Trump.
So. Yeah, I think it was just a stark contrast, and it's like, well, that's new and interesting, and why not give it a shot? Because we've had seasoned politicians for I don't even know how long. It was just politician after politician after politician, and people just get tired of it.
Okay. And then next up here we got ICE. Yeah. So the big news story for the week has been that Gregory Viveno, the person who was acting as the Border Patrol commander in Minnesota, he hasn't been deposed of duty. He's still in duty. He just got shipped back to L.A. or I think he was in L.A. He got moved back, and he's been replaced with Tom Homan. This comes in reaction to the Alex Preddy and Renee Good shootings. Which before we hop into this, I do want both of us just to kind of a general like opinions, knowledge of the situation happening in Minnesota, and then I do want to talk a little bit of how we both kind of view ICE as an organization, what they should and shouldn't be doing. Should they be like disbanded? Should the new organization, like all that good stuff? And then we can kind of get into this. So first of all, you had the two shootings. You had Renee Good, who was in the car. She was trying to back up. She was didn't seem, from my assessment of the video, used language that was not aggressive. Hey, I'm not mad at you, and then backs up and tries to turn away ICE officer, whether he is hit or slightly pushed. One of the two, it looks like he is slightly pushed away in the front of the car, shoots one bullet through the windshield, shoots two bullets through the window on the side. And there's a large, good argument that he was not in immediate danger because he did have the ability to just take a couple steps back. And that would be rolled on. Police officers are judged based on what would a reasonable person do in that moment. And then next you have Freddie, who, in my opinion, once again, I think this is a little bit more blatant than Renee Good because Renee Good was in the car. And there is more wiggle room, even though I completely disagree. There is a somewhat stronger argument to be made that with a car, you're not thinking straight, whatever. Alex Preddy, there's a woman in the street who is somewhat impeding ICE officers. She's then pushed out. She is no longer impeding. She's then pushed to the ground after she's been moved out of the way. After she's moved out of the way, Alex Preddy gets in the middle. Between the two, he gets pushed. He gets pepper sprayed. He gets thrown to the ground. They remove his gun. Somebody says gun. I think there's some reporting that the SIG that he had might have what's the word, backfired? Oh my goodness, discharged. Accidentally discharged, and he is shot like multiple times in the back while he's on the ground. It's a lot more blatant than the other one was. And just generally, I mean, I would say both of them are awful. Both of them are inexcusable, and both of them only play into heavily the idea that the Trump administration is a fascist administration. That's my position on that. James, if you want.
Yeah, obviously both of them tragedies. Just both U.S. citizens. For no reason, really. I think it is such a weak argument to say that there's any way in which he was fearing from his life. Point in case the fact that Alex Preddy didn't shoot anyone. He was armed and a reasonable person and did not shoot anyone. So for to try and use that type of argument for why Renee Good could have or was lawfully killed. We saw it later. There was just a citizen that didn't shoot anyone when he could have probably, or at least feared for his life, even if it was wrong, or he put himself in that situation. He still didn't shoot anyone. So losing lives over that, it shows that I think ICE definitely has a role to play. Well, I think the concept of ICE has a role to play, right? You need to protect your borders. That's how the Roman Empire falls. If you can't protect what you've got, then you have nothing. But this is obviously not the way to do it. I think it's funny that they will do things like this where they will just kill United States citizens because they're scared of the wind blowing them over. And then ICE will post on their Twitter account that they arrested someone for stealing, like an illegal alien for stealing. It's like, great. That makes up for the two dead people. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for getting those absolute animals off of the street. Only took two citizens, right? Because it's like, sure, accidents happen and things like that, but cops don't do this. And if they did, they would be gone. They wouldn't have a job anymore. They wouldn't be getting a job anymore. They'd be arrested. They'd probably be locked up 25 years. Like, that's it's actually worse when cops do it because you have that authority and you should know better, right? And you're trained and you have a higher expectation of yourself, and these ICE officers don't have that. There is no expectation of them. There's no formal training, and it is very like unwise to hand regular people weapons and say, you're protecting the country, go get them.
Yeah, and basically, what you need, like, know anything, you just have a high school diploma, right? And then
Yeah, you
you
just
can go.
go.
Well,
It's
yeah,
like getting a job at McDonald's.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I stand with that. I think, I mean, ICE has only existed since early 2000s. There was an administration, I believe, created under the Bush administration in reaction to 9/11. This was created the war in Iraq and 9/11, all that time, as a way to, like, just how eggs started appeared at that point. ICE didn't appear at that point as a result of, like, terrorism and stuff in the state. So I recognize it hasn't always existed, and therefore it means that the need for it may not be what it was. I think some amount of a organizational structure in the U.S. to deport people who are here illegally isn't the most horrific thing ever. But I think those people should be basically, in my mind, I think it should be more along some of local government agencies doing it. The federal government is mostly giving assistance on intel and resources, and that's about it. And letting the local communities handle their own affairs. Because I think, just like how in a murder or crime, the federal government only gets called in whenever state police, either when state police call them in, or if it's a multi-state crime. Because in that case, which state gets, they both have custody, so the FBI comes in. I think something similar to that would be better and more useful, so you don't have situations like this where ICE is basically turning into the police, because they're supposed to be immigration enforcement. They're not supposed to be they're not supposed to be law enforcement. They're immigration enforcement. They're not general police officers, right? So
Yeah, it's like they're trying to play like local police, and they're trying to play FBI, and they're trying to play, well, they are Homeland Security, but they're trying to play
well, they're a separate
Homeland
department.
Security. They're trying to
Yeah.
they're just trying to take over every other role. It's like you don't need to be doing all that. If someone blows a massive hole in the wall and like a million people come through, go ahead, help them out, right? But like, they're not doing that. Like, I'm sure the numbers of people that are coming through just get bigger and bigger because every year the numbers on everything get bigger and bigger. But like, it feels like such a non-issue when you're comparing it to, oh well, we'll just like lose. It's the casualties are U.S. citizens.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like,
in addition to, like,
now it doesn't
taking
seem
people
bad.
off the street and racially profiling as reasons to detain people. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, done by people that aren't trained and aren't very obviously not physically not physically and mentally prepared. But especially when it's like, it's not just the one guy. You can't even argue, oh, it's just the one guy, because in every single clip I've seen, like what's his name? Alex Preddy, there were like 6 dudes on him. Not a single one of those guys was like, hey, let's put your gun down. Right? When he's having his gun taken off of him, someone else is unholstering their pistol. Which is not, if he's having his gun taken off him, you can put yours away because you're good. You can pull out your taser, sure. If you want to put your gun away, pull out your taser, whatever. That's fine. But he's being disarmed. You don't need to then pull out your gun.
Yeah.
Like, and no one else said anything. No one was like, hey, like, just put that away. Like, they couldn't do that. That's none of them were thinking it, which is crazy. How does not one person be like, okay, we don't need to point a gun at the back of an unarmed man?
Well, you say that, but there's the clip of just interject real quick. There's a clip of ICE agents in Minneapolis shooting canisters at protesters, like gas canisters. I'm saying it's just like Call of Duty. So they're wanting, like, they're enjoying it. Like, that's an actual clip. If you want to pull that up, you can. If you don't, that's fine. We can maybe link it at the bottom of the video. But that's an actual thing that happened. They're shooting like gas canisters into different crowds and stuff at protesters. Like, it's just like they're enjoying themselves. They're basically LARPing as military police, right?
Yeah, and I mean, the way that the organization's being run right now, they kind of just are. not even like they're trying to LARP. They just are LARPing.
Yeah.
And they're having fun with it, and they're doing what they want. And it's only, only U.S. citizen casualties. It's not that bad. All right, you can eat a couple of those a year. It's fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
It's just, it's insane.
Not like any other president ever would be like completely removed from office. Whenever Nixon got impeached and then stepped down because of a financial scandal, and then Trump's like, "Oh, we're gonna kill people." Yeah, and I mean that's like he's perfectly. Trump is getting a bit of pressure from this, obviously. As a result, he removed Gregory Ravino from. He didn't been relieved from duties. He's still working for ICE, but he's been moved back. And in his, I mean, you have it here. I think this is DHS Assistant Secretary. If you want to go and read that quote for me, pull that up on the thing. I think she posted this on X, a tweet about this.
Yeah, so this was after same day Trump announced that Tom Homan would be taking point in Minnesota. Caroline Leavitt said, in defense of Bovino, he is a wonderful man and he's a great professional. He's going to very much continue to lead Customs and Border Patrol throughout and across the country. And then switching to Mr. Homan will be the main point of contact on the ground in Minneapolis to follow up. So even in, like, I feel like, okay, this might be not good of me, but if I was president and someone did that, even if I was, kind of involved or was, wanted them to do what they were going to do, if someone does that, I'm throwing them under the bus. Straight under the bus. First one I see. Like, your image is on the table. Like, your numbers are on the table. So even if they're doing what you wanted them to do, why go so far to still be praising that person after they've allowed these things to go on, even if they're doing what you want them to do, right? Because you're the president and they're not.
So much heat.
So what are they like? What are they going to tell you? It's interesting how you pick and choose the battles. But someone who is someone like Epstein, you're like, oh no, you're going to hard deny that one, even though it's provable, right? But you won't hard deny this guy who probably doesn't mean anything to the president. Right? It's like it's the battles that they choose to fight are just interesting. Yeah.
But I guess this is good. Move over to Tom Homan. So yeah, Bovino's out and Homan is in. And I like Homan's first quote as something along the lines of massive changes to ICE. I think the main focus here with Homan is that they're not going to be changing up the strategy too much, but they are going to be trying to work with the police more, and they're going to be saying we're going to conduct targeted enforcement operations like they've been doing, even though it hasn't seemed like that. So hopefully this is a tide of, like, even if you don't like what ICE is doing, there might not be as many U.S. citizens getting killed. That is a step in the right direction. But I think the main thing I took away from this article here from ABC was something to the effect of the police officers kind of working more alongside them to dispel protesters. Yeah, here right above, it's underneath, sort of not that one there. Go down to the last paragraph before the video. Yeah, go up, I think, a little bit. That one. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, so
what does it say?
Homan said they've committed to upholding public safety and responding to the needs, not to enforce immigration law, but to keep peace, which is not fair to ICE. It's what they've been doing, but it's them trying to clean up the mess that they made, right? It wouldn't have been as big of a protest. It wouldn't have been as big of a deal if they didn't make it as big of a deal, right? You can still do these things without being so aggressive about it unnecessarily, which is why I like that he said they're not changing the strategy that much. He's just saying what they should have been doing from the beginning and making it a point to say, like, we're just gonna do it right, so that
that's what it sounds like.
When he gets it done, hopefully the hope is when he gets it done, he can go back and say, I told you we're not changing anything, but this is what it should look like and not like what it used to, which is smart.
Yeah. And I mean, while I still disagree with the way ICE is being treated as basically a military force to remove people aggressively, if this is a step towards the chaos that has been going on for the last year, and specifically this last month, calming down a bit. You know what, that is not where I want it to be, but it is a step in the right direction compared to everything else being awful and crazy with the Trump administration. This is all I do want to add. There were two other things with ICE. They're going to, I think they were going to be moving about 700 agents are getting moved out in response to all this. So there's, I mean, the Trump administration, even though they aren't like completely casting aside Bovino, like you brought up earlier, and like using him as a scapegoat, basically, they are making massive changes to, I think it was 700 ICE agents out of Minnesota, and then also, goodness, I'm forgetting. There's one other thing slipped my mind. But there are clear indications that there's been a lot of changes made as a result of this. And in my mind, it's all just deflective so that people still love Trump. And like, oh, no, see, we're good and we love us. But it is still better than not. Even though it'd be better for Trump to not be in office. Whatever.
Yeah, and it does look like the guy that they picked is at least aware of the public consensus. I found another quote here. He says, more agents in the jail mean less agents in the streets. Basically saying he wants the numbers down in the streets, less racially profiling and then firing indiscriminately, and more taking illegal aliens that have already been arrested, because ICE doesn't have to be the one that arrests them. Cops can see you're not supposed to be here and arrest you. And basically being more of a collection agency that takes people that have already been arrested and then just moving them back efficiently so that they have room in the jails and they're not just filling up with illegal people.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole other conversation, like obviously massive sweeping issues with police and like whatever. But it is quantifiably better to have someone who was arrested after committing a crime and then taken from the jail and deported than a bunch of ICE officers in the streets asking people for papers and then taking them off the street and killing people. Like, I don't like either, but one is significantly worse than the other, and moving in a good direction is moving in a good direction, whatever.
Yeah, and like, I don't know why ICE doesn't have the same standards. You fix the problem, either you have less ICE agents that are trying to do cops' jobs and let the cops who have the training and the experience and the authority to do it, or you give that same training to the agents. To do one of the two. You can't, otherwise stuff like this is just going to keep happening. But cops have to go through crazy training, and you have to be mentally fit, and they will weed you out. They're obviously, people still get through, but I think so much happening with ICE, and they've barely been getting more active recently, goes to show just how much like cops, like, it's arguable, but I would say the majority are just good people that are trying to get the job done, because you hear about it less, and there's so many more of them. Yeah, it's not even close.
I mean, I have disagreements with that, but I mean, I also don't think generalizing cops as a collective entity as evil, I think, is bad. So obviously there while I may disagree with the numbers, there are obviously plenty of people that are doing it because they want to protect and serve, which is the motto, even if there are lots of institutional issues that I think need reform. I don't think abolishing the police is bad, and I don't think most people there are choosing to do the job because they want to hate and be racist. I think there's a large chunk of people who are just victims of a system that needs to be fixed a bit. So, yeah, I don't know. That was all of our primary topics for the week. Going ahead, we're actually going to start shifting over into our more lighthearted, truly apolitical section. And to do that, I bring all the topics for the actual fun political stuff that I'm sure everyone loves to hear about. But for our more truly apolitical section, James, what you got for us?
Yeah, so this is my section today. Just a couple things. This is just to keep it light, because definitely engrossing yourself in politics all the time is not great mentally, especially the state it's in right now. But it is important to stay up to date, especially if you want to exercise your right to vote, which everybody probably should be doing. But even if you're not, even if you're just trying to stay up to date, it is a good thing to do. But you also have to know that there are other things happening in the world that are good and fun, and even some of the dumb drama that's going on is lighthearted at least. So I've got a couple things. Creator that I personally enjoy, Wendigoon, made a deal with Lionsgate, the cinema production company, and the full Apocalypse Now movie is on his channel for free. It aired as a premiere, and the deal that they made was to, for Apocalypse Now, and hopefully in the future, add more of Lionsgate's catalog of movies straight to his channel for free. You can just go watch it. Obviously, if you don't have YouTube Premium, there will be ads, but the site is free. You don't have to pay for a subscription service or anything like that. You can just go watch it, and the idea is in the future, more Lionsgate movies will be there in the future, which I think is a great thing, and hopefully it does well so that other companies take notice of it and hopefully try it out in the future as well.
Yeah, it's sick. I mean, I think this is a good movement towards a better overhaul of the relationship between traditional media and online spaces. I specifically for me, I'm tired of the like copyright stuff for like music or movies and stuff. It's like no one is going to watch the YouTube video of the TV review and of where a movie's on. They're not going to that channel to watch a movie. They're going to watch the TV review that just so happens to have a movie on it. Or they're not going to watch the Twitch streamer who's playing video games to listen to the music playlist they have. They could do that like if they're using Twitch or YouTube. They can do it on their own. They don't need that. This seems like probably a good step in that direction. I've actually never seen Apocalypse Now, so this is actually a great opportunity for me to go to watch it. I think I might actually do that.
It's also a really
this
good.
weekend.
It's a good first choice. It's a good movie to be on there first. I also could be completely wrong, but I believe it is not on a streaming service. Lionsgate is, I think, one of the ones that it doesn't have its own streaming service. It makes sense why they're doing this. But there's also just a lot of
segment, so we'll just say that's right. So
there's a lot of money that's to be made in YouTube, right? Obviously, there wouldn't be multi-millionaire creators that get almost exclusively their income from views, and I'm somewhat surprised that this is just now happening with full movies being aired straight to YouTube. But hopefully it means more good in the future. It would be really cool to see other places put movies on there. In the same vein, Twitch has partnered with the NBA and has been doing a creator cast where popular streamers react to whatever game is being played that night. Sometimes it's in like a studio area. Sometimes it's webcam. They're phoning it in, but the entire game is viewable, which, if you didn't know, is a big no-no. Even if you go to a basketball game, cannot live stream, they will kick you out. They will ban you from venues. They will ban you for going to games. You're not allowed to watch it and stream it. I think it was Aiden Ross got into a lot of trouble for streaming the Super Bowl that one year. You probably remember. But this is cool to see because they're starting in some way. It is a little few and far between, but they are starting to have NBA games on Twitch, which again will have ads if you're watching it without subbing to their channel, but free platform to use, which is cool because especially with sports, it's a little ridiculous to try and watch all of the games, even if you've just got one team. Even if one team, one sport, you might need 4 different subscription services, and even then you'll probably miss 1 or 2.
I mean, this was like I was watching this in anticipation for the Super Bowl, which is tomorrow. Yeah, this is going up. The Seahawks game versus whatever team it was that they were playing. The one that was right before the Super Bowl. I was going to watch it, and it was only on a couple of streaming services, and it wasn't the ones I had, so I had to go and buy another one. And so, any type of consolidation, and I don't mean in the monopolistic sense of consolidation of like one media company owning everything, but in the idea of maybe consolidation is the opposite of that. That's the wrong word. The openness, I think, is probably a better word. Of like old traditional media stuff being more allowed on all the places instead of just on a couple, makes it easier, especially whenever like the economy is not as great and stuff like that. Now, it allows people to still be able to enjoy their life and do their things without feeling like they're being getting a lower quality of life because the companies are trying to be greedy and stuff, which I like. So
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I'm not a fan of a lot of big businesses that are just trying to make a ton of money, but I can understand how it would be hard to go away from like making most of your money selling your tickets like in stadiums so that people buy stuff to selling, your one thing that you have, so everyone can watch the games, to then now you've got to figure out deals with all these different platforms because the games are being played or being aired by different news stations, and then the different news stations are on different streaming platforms. You got CBS broadcasting it, Fox broadcasting it, NBC broadcasting it. All of them are on their own platforms. So I don't even know how much of that is them and how much of that is just their partnerships with
100%,
like the people that are broadcasting it. But I think that there's probably a whole lot more money to be made in allowing more people to watch it. That kind of just makes sense in my head. And also there's just a lot of money to be made. Twitch, YouTube, like people are going to be watching it if you make it easier to access.
Yeah.
It just seems like hopefully things keep moving well in that direction. All right, those were our extra, little bit lighter apolitical topics that we had.
Oh yeah, and we are super happy y'all decided to show up and come and watch this episode. There was supposed to be a third host of the show. He was out at a family function and hates us and could not make it today. However, when he shows up, it'll be fun. We'll enjoy having him because we'll have another perspective, a slightly different political perspective and everything, which I think is important when you're trying to have more just chill conversations and some light opinion pieces. But with all that said, this has been the Apolitical Podcast, and I have been your host, Caleb.
I have been your host, James. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow our socials, where we're going to begin posting clips and any updates about the show. Any engagement goes a long way for pushing the video to a wider audience.
Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you all again next weekend.